Lots of players are really good players but still end up losing even when faced by weaker enemies. In this video, we will talk about the main reasons why you can't win in rank. Relying on random teammates. When playing solo queue, you should keep in mind that you will carry the team. You need to be careful, and every initiation should be done smartly. Expect for the worst, like being the only one on the team who knows how to play, so that when you team up with a good player, life gets easy. Relying on random teammate like they are your squad is a newbie mistake. It doesn't mean that you should not adjust or comply to them. I'm only telling you to hope that they are a decent player, but don't expect. Not picking the right hero. I know that some people only know about 1 to 2 roles. That's why some players always commit this mistake. I also noticed that in Epic Rank, a lot of players are still picking Aldous, which is meta hero few years ago. But in this season, heroes like Alpha dominates the game. There are lots of ways to know what are the meta heroes. You can ask someone, or you can just simply search in the internet. Not picking the right hero comes with problems like having a team with pure damage but no tank to absorb the enemy, or having a team that's too tanky but deals no damage. Not communicating with teammates. I told you earlier to not rely on your random teammates. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you should not communicate at all, but I suggest you to do the best thing you can do in every scenario. Try communicating with your team and tell them which role you want to use. Or you can ask them what role are they gonna play. Even if they don't comply or communicate back, at least you know to yourself that you did your part. Don't say anything, just do your best. You should always strive to be the better player, not the better trash talker. Not listening to more experienced teammate. You can tell that your teammate is experienced by clicking their slot. Having 1,000 match on a role is pretty decent. I often experience this problem with players wanting to use carry heroes while having less than 100 matches on that role. So next time you see a more experienced teammate wanting to use a carry hero, put your ego aside and let them. It will make things easier. Playing core but not doing the job. Have you seen core users trying to steal minions from teammates? Because I did. I did that before. It takes a little time to realize that I'm doing it wrong. For core users, it is important to understand that in the first 5 minutes, you should focus on getting your jungle creeps. Because getting minions early in the game will tax your teammate, and the enemy jungler will also outfarm you. Not initiating when you are the initiator. Tanks and fighters are the main initiator roles. I see this mistake in a lot of players because some of them don't know how to do their job properly. The main job of tank and fighters are absorbing the damage, annoying, and setting up the enemy. But I see fighters thinking like they should be the one cleaning the wounded enemies. Sometimes, these players let opportunities pass just because they want to get the kill, making the core and marksman do the job for them, which most of the time end up having dead damage dealers and alive tanky heroes who will still eventually die. To fix this, each role must do their job. The tanky roles should initiate and absorb the damage, and the damage dealers need to be patient and wait for the right moment to enter the fight. Not using counter items. Do you wonder why sometimes you can't deal damage to the enemy? It's not always that they outfarm you. Sometimes, you are just not picking the right item. I see this often, especially in inexperienced player where they encounter heal synergy type of opponents. Some players will stick on their standard builds rather than getting counter items. To fix this, you should have a knowledge about counter equipment. The most basic one is using this item when facing heroes that heals a lot, not focusing on objectives. I know that it is very pleasurable when you get a lot of kills, but having a lot of kills doesn't win matches. I saw players wanting to prolong the game because they are dominating, but end up getting comeback by the enemy. As much as it is a huge waste of time, it is also a waste of opportunity. Whenever there's a chance to end the game, it should be taken, or else it will be given to someone. Instead of having an early victory and going ahead on the next game, you just lost a match, lose momentum, and had a bad temper. Being out of position. This is a very common mistake of marksman users that happen most of the time when they get ahead of the enemy. Getting ahead of your enemy in terms of gold doesn't necessarily mean victory, but a high chance to attain it. Whenever you get the upper hand in the game is where you should be more careful. Being ahead of the enemy is not something always given to you. Don't drop it and hold it carefully. Pushing at the wrong time. Whenever you look at the map and see your enemies, you get information about where they are. But what will you do when your enemy are missing on the map? I suggest that you should be very careful and not overextend, because most of the time, it is a sign that a gank will happen. And if you are using a marksman, more likely they are coming for you. Always clearing the minions. Clearing the lane surely gives you tons of money, but knowing the right time to clear gives you victory. This is also a common mistake of players who are dominating the game, where they will clear the lane and not push a turret. What will happen is, they will just let the enemy minion pass, and eventually, the enemy will catch up to the gold. There are times when lane freezing are necessary, like setting up for an ambush and waiting for the Lord. This ensures that the enemy gets bored, forcing them to come out of the base, or make them overwhelmed when they see all of their turrets getting swarmed by minions. This will force them to cast their skills to clear the lanes, and that opens an opportunity for a perfect setup. Lastly, not learning from previous mistakes. Sometimes there are happenings in the game which you cannot understand clearly. During these times is where you ask a more experienced player why it happened or how can you avoid it. A player who learned something at the 10th match is better than the player who have 1,000 matches but did not learn at all. It is not always about working harder. Sometimes it's about working harder and smarter. So if you like this type of videos, you can tell me by leaving a like and subscribe. You can also type in the comments about what you learned and realized from this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you get a good game.